such an asshole.
Banging them out at assholeconsulting.com. And again, it's $100 minimum super chat. Not because I'm trying to be a dick, because I want to get through these so I can leave tomorrow with a clear plate. Clean plate. Oh, there's a Christmas gift to me. Clean plate. Now I don't have to worry about nothing. Aaron, video response, please. How to get over grief as fast and as efficiently as possible and then move on. Whether it's an ending of a serious relationship, loss of a loved one, etc. We all know that grief must be faced and dealt with, but how to do it in an efficient way and then move on as fast as possible. All tips and thoughts are welcome. That's a good question because I have gone through grief. I'm sure most of you have gone through grief. Everyone will go through grief. And so I did take a couple notes here, and it is best to prepare for it. And that's kind of, I had to sit and think. I'm like, well, I would have spared myself an incredible amount of pain and misery and grief had I just done one thing, and that was prepare for it. So I'm going to split it into two things. One, what you can do during grief, and I'm sure there's a ton of resources on that as well. I put a link down below to my consulting site, but more importantly, I put a link down to histherapist.com. Dr. David Maloney, he's a therapist. He only works with men. And if you get divorced, which is, I guess, would be the number one cause of grief. I guess number one would be loss of a loved one. But I guess a non-natural or unforeseen would be divorce. But in either case, there he is, a resource for all you guys. But let's go ahead. We'll talk about how to endure it. What you can do in the midst of it when the bad thing, whatever it is, has happened, so you can get through it. And then what I think is way more effective in eliminating, or not eliminating, but lessening the amount of grief is preparation, is preventative medicine. And we'll get to that. All right. So first, the endure thing. All right. When I went through the deepest stage of grief, and you guys actually could watch it. What was it? How I overcame the worst part in my life or something like that. You have to realize you are a biological creature. All right. So it's the overall theme, and I'll go through the individuals, but you are biological. And for whatever, I don't know why your body decides to attack itself and eliminate any of the endorphins. I don't understand. Maybe I'm old enough to experience enough that it just wouldn't happen again, or you're immune to it. But you need to treat it medically as well. And Paul, I should add Paul, Apex Mindset. Paul would know a lot about this too, because he does have a background in it. But you got to take a biological approach. So boring things, but they're important. Diet, okay? Eat the right foods. And by right, I mean, like, do you want to have ice cream? Go have ice cream. You want steak? Go have steak. Like, if you're mourning, get those endorphins up. I'm not saying get addicted and become obese, but you are allowed to go and treat yourself like that. So if something really bad happens, don't be pestering and already taxing your already destroyed brain and your happiness system with, oh, I can't have carbs. Dude, go have the pizza, man. Go have the pizza. All right. So there's that. I would say more important, this is the number one thing I probably should have led with this, and that is run. You must run. The best shape I was ever in my life, I would run. I got up to 11 miles a day. The endorphins would last about 2 hours. The crippling depression would come back, and then I'd hit the gym. I look great. I wish I had some pictures of me without my shirt off then, because I look good. I looked real good. But lifting the weights would get me to a certain point, and then I'd end up taking a sleeping pill and go to sleep. But that running was vital. That will do the most to get you biophysiologically up there. So I know a lot of you don't like cardio. I don't care. If you're truly in grief, the pain will be so much you'll go run. And that running did a lot. It did a lot. Now you could be biologically different. You could get better results at the gym lifting weights as opposed to running. But I've usually found that when you run, not just myself, but other people, that usually gets the endorphins going. And if you can get up to running like 2 hours, that kills 2 hours of time. And then you have like at least another dopamine drip for at least another 2 to 3 hours after that. But I would say run, or in general exercise. You have to have a schedule and a to-do list. You need to find purpose and agency. And not always, but most of the time, I guess, the reason you're going through grief is you lost someone. Whether that was death of a family member, your significant other divorced you or left, or maybe they died themselves. You could even, maybe kids go off to school, college, that kind of thing. So you need to, that person gave you purpose and agency for whatever reason. All right. And you need to fill that in with something. So go work extra hours if you want. Go pick up a hobby. Go to the grocery store and adhere to it. You got to have a reason to get up. I won't lie to you right now. I'm not in grief or anything like that, but it's an existential battle you're going to get to when you're older. This is more what retired people face, is like, God almighty, what do I do? That is a chasm you all get to look into later on. Maybe early on, if you're like me, you didn't have kids, you played cards, right? You didn't spend a lot of money and all that, or you're retired. All right. But you need to have a to-do list, and it needs to get done, and you need to get up and do it. All right. So you go out, you do that. Get some sex. This is for the guys. I don't know if girls really like sex or not. I honestly don't. Oh, maybe. So this is just be for the guys. You girls do. I don't know. Girls eat chocolates. I don't know. Watch Steel Magnolias. I don't know what you do. And I would say, yeah, go pay for it. You fly your ass out to Vegas, man, or you fly your wherever it's legal and you go get laid. Okay. Now, not because if a girl broke up with you or your wife divorced you, you wanted to get another one. I'm not talking about that. I'm like, just go have sex. All right. Find another girl. Now, if you want, go find another girl, do the seeking arrangement. Just get another gal in there. Go have fun with the young thing, even if you have to pay for it. All right. Have no expectations. Don't you dare think this is your girl or that. No, you just go and you have some good carnal fun. All right. So however you get it in there, you go get yourself a little bit of sex. There's that. I know professionals are going to disagree with me on this, but I would drink or do some kind of light drug, whether that's pot, some kind of vice. I guess you could say ice cream or something would be but I think you need to get where you don't get hungover or withdrawal symptoms or anything like that. But if you want to do some EBT pill, the cannabis pills or whatever, or you want to actually smoke pot, or, don't become a pothead, don't become a drunk, but yeah, have a drink, feed that brain, give it some stimulation, give it something happy to go on. All right. Don't get hammered to the point you feel worse. I mean, there's nothing worse than being hungover and grief. You don't want that. Ironically, when in my worst part of my life, I didn't drink. That's how bad it was. But have a little bit of vice in there if you want. Movies, hang on. Oh, went down the wrong throat. Where'd I go? Here we are. Movies. Movies is going to be a part of a larger overall thing, but movies, you just want to watch something so there's another story running in your brain. Okay? So I'd be watching movies. Again, like you run your errands, and the larger point is that you need to have your mind constantly occupied. So it's your to-do list, you're running, and if there's any downtime, movies. All right. But it doesn't even have to be movies. It could be spending time with your children, spending time with your friends, nieces and nephews. You need to have your mind occupied. And the overall aim of a lot of these things, which aren't even necessarily treating a biological, chemical, neurochemical aspect, is that your grief just needs time. That's all it is. Whether to acknowledge and accept, acceptance. That's the final stage, acceptance. Well, you fretting about it and worrying about it and running, how could I have done things differently in my mind? Or, I regret not seeing my grandpa enough, which I do. That is not doing you any good. And it is not accelerating or improving your situation. You're just torturing yourself along the way, right? Because there is a finality. What you're grieving over is a finality, something that you cannot go back in time and fix. But that's what your brain is going to try and do. And that's just wasted energy and effort. And what you need to do is get your mind off it. Again, get another girl. Girl breaks up with you, your wife divorced. The next best thing, go get yourself some play. some frivolous, dirty play. And that'll keep your mind, not even for the play itself, just keep your mind off of it. Have some fun. Go for, oh, there's another girl here. All right, that's it. But that all falls under the category of occupying your mind. Even getting groceries. I'm trying to think of what else. Going on hikes, road tripping, flying out, visit traveling. Traveling would be another great mind. You're in a completely foreign environment. I mean, I'm going to go to San Diego. No, that's America still. Go to a completely different environment. Like, whoa, this is different. Your brain will be, it's running interference, a diversion. And your body will naturally over time heal itself. There's nothing you could do to accelerate that. So you kind of live in a delusional world. You're keeping your mind off of it. And the only thing you do is give your brain stimulation, either directly through chemicals and sugar or sex, or working out, the dopamine, good, healthy things. And in theory, the working out should counteract whatever vice you put in your body. So you should come out all right. But then also stimulating your brain, like with movies, I guess books, if you're a weirdo and you like reading, podcasts, something, taking up a new skill, burying yourself in work. Just keep your mind off of the thing that you don't control. So it falls all under that, occupying your mind. And then also finally, sleeping pills, not in a self-deletion sense. I mean, you need to get your rest. And I wish I knew sleeping pills existed. I just laid awake. That does not help you the next day. Does not help you the next day. You need to get some good rest. So you could take melatonin if you want, but I would get yourself some of the old cheap sleeping pills. They're like little cornflower blue pills. You get them at Walmart, you get them at the grocery store. They're you don't need a prescription for them. I'm really against antidepressants, though. I'm for all the other drugs that you get at a liquor store or a place. But yeah, I'm really SSRIs. No, I don't know anyone that comes out better with that stuff. I don't know. Isn't it weird? Everyone who takes antidepressants are super duper depressed. Like, shouldn't you not be? Shouldn't the drugs you're taking make you normal? I'm not saying you should be, but they're all cripplingly depressed. I'm like, God, what would you be without the drugs? But sleeping pills, you need to get your sleep. Your brain needs to get its rest. It needs to turn off. And so I would take, and I take like a half or a third of a sleeping pill each night, because if I don't, I'll stay awake till 3 a.m. And so, but yeah, I think the average dosage you're supposed to take 2. That'll knock you out. Holy God. And don't drink don't drink and take sleeping pills. That's how people self-delete themselves. You don't want to mix those two. So if you're going to do your drinking, do it responsibly. Do it in the daytime before you go to bed, or before you even think about going to bed. But yes, with the sleeping pills, and if you're saying, well, if you had to choose between drinking and sleeping pills, do the sleeping pills. You need your rest. You don't really need the booze, but the booze does kind of help a little bit. So there's that. So that's Cappy's truth. And then if it helps you, go talk to a therapist. Go get into group therapy or something like that. Even the group therapy can be an activity for you to do on your list, and it helps out in that regard. But and then I link down below. But also look at Apex Mindset. Talk to Paul. Tell Paul I sent you. Paul's the guy that you need to talk to. All right. So that's it happened. All right. Now, the reason usually it's grief is one of several things. Is, okay, one, you lost a loved one, but usually there's also guilt involved in that you didn't either spend enough time or do the right things, or you screwed up. Like you and your dad had a falling out, let's just say, and you really did love your dad, but you were going to be prideful and whatever, not acquiesce to his demands. Then he gets hit by a truck, and okay, you will have guilt. You will have shame because you screwed up, or your wife divorces you. What did I do wrong? I could have done this thing. I could have done that thing. When you couldn't have done anything because it was Kevin in sales, and he just had a much shinier pene than you did. All right, let's just be honest about that. So, but that aside, and that is you All this is you should prepare for it. All right. And it depends what you're preparing for. And the easiest thing is death because we know it's all coming. But like, I'll give you an example. Like now I make sure I don't try to flutter with, I don't want to suffocate her. My grandma's still alive. I just called her today. Do you want to get together for Christmas? Because she's very popular. She has all the grandchildren in the world and everybody wants a piece of my grandma. And, but I want to spend time with her. She's like almost 95 now. Still with it. By God, she'll beat you in poker. Still with it. My grandpa, I didn't. Now, admittedly, this was Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I was in college, but I remember one time visiting my grandpa, and there was a cute girl that I wanted to go see out in his neighborhood. And so I spent one night with my grandpa, and then the very next morning, and he just wanted to go get breakfast. I'm like, no, I got to get going. I so regret not having breakfast with my grandpa and chasing after tail. Because no tail is worth your grandpa. None. If your grandpa's good. And my grandpa, greatest man I ever, I don't just say greatest person to ever live, greatest Mexican restaurant ever. I would murder thousands of people to bring him back. Thousands of people who I don't know. That's how much I miss him. And I was stupid. And I do kind of regret not spending that much time with him. All right. Well, spend time. That's why I'm spending time with my grandma. She's the most wonderful woman I've ever known. And I don't want to I didn't spend any time with my grandma, or I was too busy golfing, or this or that, or I could have stopped and visited, but I didn't because there was whatever inconvenient, or I wanted to chase tail or whatever like that. No, you got your parents. I mean, this all assumes these are good people. Someone treats you like crap, parent or not, relative or not, it doesn't matter. They're dead. Like, okay, fine. You show up, obligatory black outfit. Oh, if you're related, say a thing that's very, oh, so-and-so did took in too early but left us a legacy of nice things. And I will always fondly remember Frank for being so Frankie, oh, Frank, even though he banged my wife. Keep the peace. And then you could go piss on his grave when ain't no one looking. All right. But while the people are alive and they're good to you, all right, and they're good people, spend time with them. Because they are they're dying, they're gonna die. You might die. You won't be around to regret it. Like, oh, dang, I didn't spend time with them, because you'll be dead. So the good thing about dying in that sense, you won't have regret because you won't exist to regret. But, parents, people you don't know, or people that you don't think are going to die, or also, what, got to think about this. What if our favorite accountant, CPA, Vlad Elkins, died in a plane crash? I mean, I'd feel horrible because I never confessed how much of a douche nozzle I thought he was. We didn't get in enough penis jokes. We didn't cut on Chad enough. Me and Atham, we'd be sad, but not because we missed the guy, but we didn't pick on him enough, man. I wish he was here. I didn't make enough accounting jokes, man. So that spending time with your loved ones. All right. But so there's that. And then also not just death, but no bad things are going to happen. And this is where you have to kind of eliminate your expectations. All right. Your wife could just leave, change whatever. You could lose your job. Child could get hit by a truck. So not only do you appreciate the time you get with them, but don't think it's going to last forever. Always have it in the back of your mind. She could meet Kevin in sales. My child could get hit by a truck. Worse, my child could have joined the Communist Party and told me that I have privilege. And then I have to ban her from the house because she's dead. Or he's dead. Right? And that's a huge one. Aligning your expectations with reality. But this case, it's for the contingency. Largely, this would fall into that your significant other is going to break up with you. All right. Whether you're married or not, doesn't matter. That will happen. So that one, like death, you can almost bank on. Well, then bank on it. Lower your expectations. I mean, a very different thing. You'll see a guy like, say, Terrence Popp, who's broadcasting right now. He got married, and this happens to every guy, where you get married, and then you get divorced. That divorce is devastating. Masculine Geek Vince, he's never been married, but he had a girl where it was devastating or chaotic and drama and chaos. Maybe not even grief, but going forward, they learned. And by learning, what I mean is they eliminated expectations. They brought their expectations in line with reality. And their expectations are nothing. It's like, yeah, it would suck if my girlfriend were to leave me, but it'd be like, okay, that's the way that one went. There'd be a mourning process, but it would not be anything like, Pop getting his first divorce or anyone go through the first divorce. Right? And if you can get, and I think we're doing a really good job on that, not just in terms of dating, but I think in a larger, more philosophical sense, I think we are bringing here's another example of mourning where it's been really helpful for an entire generation. And that is, if we had what do you think the millennials are doing right now with all this suffering? And we poke fun at them because they're largely Marxist, but what they're doing is they're mourning the loss of their youth, because they don't have their youth. They're still alive. It's not the loss of their life yet, but they are definitely mourning the loss of their youth. Well, what if we had prepared them? And I think we have prepared Gen Z. Gen Z, for whether you agree with them or not, they're the Great Resignation. They're not signing up for crap jobs. They're not taking no guff from employers. There's less people going to college. All right. And here's a book basically saying how you got screwed over and how to prepare yourself mentally. And any young person who reads this is going to align their expectations with reality. So that, and this happened to me where I was like, sold the same bill of goods as the millennials were. Follow your heart, money will follow, be nice, girls like sensitive, 90, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm pissed. You're darn right. I mourn over the loss of my childhood. Why did I have to go through school, K through 12? What was that? Why did I go to college? Well, all these lies you told me about how society interacts and works, and how girls, which would largely be your largest pursuit in life, the one that in theory would give you the most happiness. Why don't you guys prepare me for this? Why don't you put things in context? Why don't you give me the playbook, the real one? All right. Well, we got Gen Z. Look at Jack Napier. I always point out to him, you think he's going to suffer as much as like, say, Rollo did? With Napier ain't going to suffer the bipolar girlfriend that Rollo did. Napier ain't going to suffer the grief I go through or went through. Napier ain't going to get divorced. And so it is preparation, understanding what to expect, and having your expectations in line with reality. That will do a lot. I mean, you'll still have grief. There'll still be bad things happening, but it will do a lot for you to be like, I kind of knew that was coming. I'll give you another example, micro comment, but like, okay, of the hundreds of times, literally, that I'd be stood up for a date, 50, 50, 25, flaked on. I felt bad because I had delusional expectations. I irrationally thought a girl would show up on a date when she said she would. All right. But by the time I was, 31, 32 or whatever, that didn't faze me. I had no I had expectations. I had expectations girls wouldn't show up. Heck, even in college, it'd be like, they're so flaky, it set up multiple dates. So I guess it was even going back to like 2021, 22 even. Not even, did I graduate? No, I graduated at 22. But that definitely, I had no hope or expectations by the time I was 31. So when this one gal, I told the story before, just disappeared for 2 weeks, found out later she went back with her ex-boyfriend. Not a single pang of pain. Nothing. Just kind of like, oh, that's it. Almost amusement, almost entertainment. I'm kind of like, oh, this ought to be good. Let's see how this one goes. Oh, is that what? Oh, yeah, okay. No, that's fine. Yeah, I'll meet you never again. So that right there, getting in your expectations in line with reality is good. Another thing you can do is take action so you have less regret. Make sure you don't screw up. Get in shape, stay in shape. Okay. You girls like, I'm so hurt. He cheated on me. Did you get fat? But yes or no? Did you get fat? You did? Oh, gee. And he cheated on you. Okay. Well, if you didn't get fat and you put on whatever the fancy heels you like, or you got the booby job and you kept them happy and satiated, all right, then there would be no regret. Because let's say you did all that, you did everything, and the guy still ran off. All right, then you say, nope, I did it. I did everything right. I couldn't have done anything better. Same thing with you guys. Did you go to the gym? Do you diet and exercise? All right, do you treat your woman nice and alpha, aloof sort of way? Do you work? Do you take care of your family? Do you provide for your children? Right? Do you give her the VTs through various marriage games that you get to play? Yay. But were you a good man? Did you? And then she still ran off with Kevin in sales. All right, then you didn't screw up. But if you got drunk and made an ass of yourself at a party, or you got fat, or you didn't really pay attention to her, which is increasingly more difficult because when they talk, they don't really say anything interesting all that often. It's usually Tina over at the nail salon said, Amy, so maybe you shouldn't listen more. Did you spend time with the kids? Did you work as hard as you could? Did you fix the car? That kind of thing. You did? You didn't screw up? You didn't ran off with Bambi, the big red, I was going to say redheaded, big bittied goddess? Okay, then you did it right. Then there's no guilt. So again, you're going to grieve the loss of whatever, but you did it right. And then finally, it really helps to study Stoicism and do that now, which does, it does all the aforementioned that I said before, reeling your expectations, but especially study Stoicism and death, because death is largely where you're going to deal with grief. But I guess you could consider it's the death of a relationship, whether that's a friendship or a loved one or not. You have to get to the point that you accept the person is gone, or that opportunity is gone, or what your child is gone. Your child, I don't even mean that it'd be horrible if they died in an accident, but seriously, like if I had a kid and they decided to like come home on Christmas and lecture me about my privilege and their SJW, I'm like, okay, you're gone. Actually, I wouldn't have any regret because like, okay, I screwed up. I feel a little bit bad. Like, okay, where did I screw up? But like, okay, you get out of here. You have married the state. Enjoy your commune. Enjoy the Socialist Party or whatever, but you're no longer here. But I would, through other philosophies, studying the Stoics. I went to a Stoic group back in the Twin Cities, and coming to like accept things you do and do not control. Learn the Serenity Prayer. That's a great prayer to know, but put it into practice. This is how I got cured of getting angry in traffic. Oh, I still get perturbed, but I don't get anywhere angry. I don't run people off the road. Not that I did that before either. Or like when you go through any store, choose whatever. There's a new trend. I don't know if you noticed it, but the baby boomers are playing the game. Let's stand in the middle of the intersection of aisles. Let's stand in front of the front door. That's what boomers do, because once they get a nanometer past the front, they stop and then they talk, and then everyone's trying to get around their fat asses. And in the past, I would love nothing more than to punch them. Well, why? Love nothing more than that. All right, but that's illegal in jail. But why would I get angry? Now it's hurting me. Expectations with reality. My expectations should be people who are losing their mental faculties and have been brought up to be the most spoiled generation ever are completely unaware, and they're going to stop in the middle of the doorway. And if there's another way, because let's admit we're all human, and this isn't on my list. One thing that has also helped me, I didn't believe in karma, but I totally believe in it now because I've seen it. And the reason why is that you cannot be bad or evil and not get punished by society. Like, for example, if you are a boomer and you decide you're so up your own ass, you are unaware that stopping, you're so stupid that stopping in the middle of a doorway or an aisle intersection is rude and inconsiderate, you're missing out on other major things like your retirement savings and all this other stuff. And there's a good chance that no one's going to visit you in the nursing home. You have no good quality people in your life. I get very angry at socialists and leftists who want to take more of my money and other people's money. But have you noticed how happy people are who live on welfare. Like right now, there's actually, I guess you could panhandle in South Dakota. Maybe not, I don't know, but they are panhandlers. It's winter. Now, philosophically, you could like, oh, I hate panhandlers. They're faking it, or if they're not, they're losers. And look, and there was a fat panhandler. I'm like, you're not missing a meal. And my favorite is there one panhandler. I know the restaurant kitty corner to the place the guy panhandles. There's a restaurant that's in desperate need of workers. Oh, of course, all the women stop by. Oh, you'll slow down traffic. There's another people I go, dak, 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 dak. No, you know why? That person has to sit out in the cold. They're so stupid. They have to sit out in the cold now because it's winter. That's a miserable existence. And so a lot of times the grief comes from someone who leaves you, either a friendship, employer, a lover, whatever. But if they did it for bad reasons, or they are bad and it hurts you, that's going to come bite them in the ass down the road as well. All right. So that's another thing, but that's outside the scope of preparation. Largely preparation is don't let yourself get that emotionally invested in this, or acknowledge that something bad could happen. And yeah, you take your L's and yeah, it feels bad, but you knew it was going to happen. Or you account, I shouldn't say you knew it was going to happen, but you accounted for the chance that it would happen. And then that way, and then you could just walk away totally stoically. You walk away like a champ. Like, okay, that's the way that one went. And then I think that it's like getting a vaccination. It prevents you from suffering the full effects of innocent, unaware grief. Like it just blindsides you. Whereas if you know that every girl could always go chase after some other, and a better guy comes up, they will be tempted. They will be. But if you can get to like, oh, you cheated on me with Kevin and Sales, cool. All right, well, that's fine, but we'll see you later, you know. And that, you almost get a little bit of a pride on that one. Like, because there was nothing that like with that guy, like, oh, you meet my parents. I'm like, we haven't talked in 2 weeks. Like, it was like, okay, let's see how this goes. Like, yep, okay, see ya. So there you go. That's how I would handle grief now that I'm older. All right, let's see if there's any super chats. Again, there aren't a $100 minimum. I would like to answer more, but I do need to get this done. Well, if you're AFM, I'll put it. I know much about. Yeah, you do. That's why you get to inherit asshole consulting. Scrolling. Keep those doggies scrolling. Boom. Done. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.